Hello from my heart. My name is William Marshall. Welcome to another show created to help you become a WellBodyPro. Today's show will focus on healthy ergonomics. We're also going to talk about getting off your butt and stop sitting so much. We're doing a violet ray demo with my good friend and colleague, Damon Baram. Let's talk a little bit about healthy ergonomics. Most of us have a general idea of what ergonomics are, so I decided to get the most official definition out there. So according to the National Institutes of Health, ergonomics looks at the kind of work you do, what tools you use, and your overall job environment. The goal in ergonomics is to find the best fit between you and your job conditions. So let me just give you a general example of what poor ergonomics are. First of all, this is a chair that has pretty poor ergonomics, not really designed for sitting for long periods of time. And when you sit down, you're too low, your keyboard's up a little higher than what would be comfortable, and I'm kind of having to sit at a slouch because there's nothing to support my lower back, and so this is just really poor ergonomics. Basic common examples of ergonomic changes to your work might include adjusting the position of your computer keyboard to prevent carpal tunnel syndrome. Some keyboards have a little clip to help them raise up. Some, like these Mac keyboards, are designed with a nice little ramped position to help it make it a little easier for your fingers to be more ergonomically correct. Now, be sure that the height of your desk chair allows your feet to rest flat on the floor. Right now, my knees are sort of up at an angle and I'm sitting down too low. We're going to bring in this beautiful Herman Miller lumbar support ergonomically correct desk chair. And you'll notice when you sit down at this kind of chair, the knees are, and you can adjust obviously these to the right height, unlike the other chair we just had. You're sitting upright, your arms are the right height for the desk, everything is relaxed, your wrists are relaxed. You certainly don't want carpal tunnel, so raising the keyboard and being able to type with your hands in a very relaxed, not up, not down, just a nice, relaxed, straight position. No matter what the job is, the goal is to make sure that you are safe, comfortable, and less prone to work-related injuries. For the majority of us New Yorkers, we're sitting at our desks working for so many hours, so enhance your work area with a comfortable lumbar support, a good quality chair, support belt. If your abs are a little weak, you want to wear a little belt to help you stay strong and upright. And remember, your abdominal muscles are important to proper posture, so you need to exercise and strengthen your abs. Notice how much straighter you'll naturally sit. Shoulders back, eyes. Whenever you're sitting properly, your ergonomics are correct, you're sitting upright, your head is over your shoulders are back, and you're able to reach your keyboard comfortably, relaxed. Everything is relaxed, not stretched, but nice and relaxed. Now, your lymphatic system needs you to move your body to actually take out the trash, so to speak. The power of the lymphatic system is not able to do its thing without you moving, so you got to walk a little bit. Do some squats when you're sitting down for a good period of time. If you don't have a rebounder, I'm a big rebound fan, which is a mini trampoline. We're going to talk about that in several shows coming up. And by just moving, the lymphatics actually flow and deliver all of the important nutrition to all of your cells, and also remove all of the stagnant waste and cellular byproducts of life. Sitting all day at work, sitting in the car or the bus or train going home, then many of you will be sitting in front of your TV at home or in front of the computer for a few more hours. You got to get off your butt, you got to move. Very important. So if you're going to watch TV and you're going to use your computer, think about doing it while standing, or at least every time there's a commercial, commit to getting up and wiggling your butt or dancing or something for a couple minutes. Get a rebounder. If you've never had a rebounder or seen a rebounder, little mini trampoline. I'm going to have future shows. I've done shows in the past with it. Don't buy a cheap one. Cheap one, you'll get injured, and that's one of the reasons why there's sort of a fad with mini trampolines or rebounders. Over the years, people have gotten into the movement of how powerful rebounding is, and then all of a sudden cheap rebounders find their way onto the market. People start bouncing and people start getting injured. They blame the poor quality mini trampoline, and of course people start hearing, oh, people got injured from rebounding. It's always because they bought something inexpensive and of poor quality. The three best you should look for are Cellerciser, which is, as far as I'm concerned, the very best on the market, the best quality springs. And Nidak is one of the first, and also Rebound Air. Those are the three main ones you want to look for. You can usually find some used ones for about $100, $125 on Craigslist and whatnot. So when you have a mini trampoline, you want to bounce for a few minutes. Every time you think about it, keep it next to your desk. So every time you get a chance to get up, you're just doing some light bouncing, and it moves that lymphatic system. It's moving anything that was stagnant. So another way you can do that is to set a little timer on your computer. Everybody's got a little calendar. Set a little hour timer to remind you once an hour to get up and move that little tushy. So coming up, my friend Damon Baram and I are going to share with you a very exciting technology known as the violet ray. So stay tuned. Hello from my heart again. I'm here with my good friend and colleague, Damon Baram. He is an acupuncturist here in New York City, and we're actually going to tell you and explain a little bit about the violet ray today. Not sure if you know what the violet ray is. It is a very powerful yet simple device that was designed. Do you know exactly the year that it was designed?
Sure.
I think he invented it somewhere like 1894 or 1897, developed and designed by Nikola Tesla. And what is the violet ray, Damon?
Well, the violet ray is its category is it's an electric therapy. Okay. And I think what makes it different from other electric therapies is the fact that it's a high frequency electric current. And what that means is that when the electricity is coming through the device, and this is the violet ray, this is the wand, it's emitting electricity at such a high frequency. In other words, it's emitting it at a very high rate. Okay. And the unique properties of a frequency that is generated at such a high rate is that it creates what's called cellular massage. And essentially what that's doing is it's basically infusing the cells with nutrition, in this case with oxygen. And so the body sufficiently is healthier when it has enough oxygen, right? Cancer cells can't exist in an oxygen-rich environment, so the body's more efficient when it gets oxygen and waste products out. Okay. So what the device is doing is, through the cellular massage, is it's increasing the metabolism of the cell. And it's doing that through the high-frequency electric current. And there's really not many devices on the market that can actually do this. It's not like a TENS unit. And for people who've had physical therapy, and they've had units that generate a muscular contraction to reduce pain. This is not doing that. So physical therapists aren't using this. Medical doctors aren't using this. The device was banned in 1951. So it's not an FDA-approved device.
Now you say it was banned. Do you know anything about why it was banned?
Well, there's not a lot of information about this.
And let's just make it clear. It was banned here in the United States. Throughout Europe and throughout pretty much the rest of the world, they've been using this technology for estheticians primarily, doing facials and whatnot. So you see a lot of high frequency and microcurrent used in the esthetician arena. This is actually the high frequency side of that. They don't really call it violet ray, but it's definitely a high frequency device. So I figured we could show, I brought a few of them out with us today. This is actually one that you could get as a consumer. This is just sort of a generic violet ray. Inside it comes with the violet ray wand piece. Then it also inside comes with 4 glass electrodes, they're called. Each one gets slid in, and each one actually is vacuum sealed. There are primarily two different types of electrodes. This one is actually filled with argon gas, so it looks violet. I'm going to actually plug this one in.
Bill, you asked a question. You said, why was it banned? They said that the claims that were made for the device were never substantiated and were never proven scientifically.
Okay.
So a lot of it was empirical from people's experiences. There were over 100 companies in the U.S. that were manufacturing this device, one of them being Sears. Manufactured violet rays.
And I know these thousands and thousands of these were sold from the early 1900s, especially through the 30s, on through the 50s.
Yeah, what it was a home health care device that that doctors recommended to their patients to use for all kinds of conditions. Now, what I personally use it for in my practice as an acupuncturist, I'm using it in essentially the same way you would with an acupuncture needle, where you place an acupuncture needle in a certain area of the body where there's an ailment. For example, here's the lower back meridian channel that extends down the leg. But if someone has a certain complaint of their body, let's say a pain condition, I use the violet ray to substitute an acupuncture needle. And
so rather than having to puncture the skin with the needle, this is having a similar energetic effect.
I think it's having a better effect. And I think it's more, I think there's greater efficacy with it, because with acupuncture, and again, this is a chart of all the different points and the channels. These are not blood vessels or nerve pathways. These are bioelectric energy pathways in the body, okay? And this is what I specialize in terms of manipulating to address many different conditions. In this case, let's talk about pain. So with the violet ray, it is actually giving the person energy from an outside source. Acupuncture is not doing that. So I believe that this is more effective. So for example, if somebody was to, if the way that I use this is simply placing the different glass bulbs on, like this is my violet ray, and I would stimulate the meridians or energy channels on the body using the violet ray, okay, and the specific points as well. So it's very similar to acupuncture. It's kind of violet ray acupuncture.
So it sounds like you're using it to enhance the flow of energy on each meridian, while still being able to, if there's a specific painful region, you can use local stimulation directly on that spot rather than focusing on the whole meridian, focusing on that, and that also helps alleviate the pain.
And there's many other things I do with as well. This is actually a model of the ear, okay? And this is a reflex point where each part of the ear will reflect different parts of the body. So much like what people know of is with reflexology. So what I'll do with the violet ray is, for example, let's say someone is having a problem in their lower back, for maybe they're not sitting appropriately, because you were mentioning earlier about ergonomics. So let's say someone's having a lower back strain, maybe possibly from a postural distortion and things, possibly a disc injury or whatever. I would stimulate the point on the ear, which is approximately here, where it says lumbar sacral vertebra, and I'll stimulate it with the violet ray. But I would use, in this case, in that situation where I'm using more of it from a reflexology point of view, I would use the smaller glass bulb to stimulate the ear with the violet ray. The results that I've seen with it is instantaneous pain reduction, usually about 70 to 80%. Does that mean the person is cured of their condition? No. It means they have to do other things. They have to be able to sit with appropriate posture. They have to get nutrition in the body. And of course, lifestyle corrections like not smoking cigarettes, not drinking heavily, and things like that. Other lifestyle, prudent things to follow to create true holistic health. So this violet ray is unknown among so many other healthcare practitioners. I don't know of really anybody else, any other acupuncturists that are using this, but Thank you for introducing it to me.
It was my pleasure. Actually, I was introduced to it through the order that I am a member of. I'm part of the Sacred Medical Order of the Church of Hope. And the head of our order is a naturopath, doctor, professor, and he owns Jade Academy, which is an educational program focused on using violet ray and microcurrent Rife technologies to work in the esthetician's arena. So doing facials, body sculpting, removing excess fat, and really helping reestablish healthy energetic pathways in the body. So I actually wanted to more clearly explain what's going on with this fantastic, wonderful device. I have an original violet ray. This one here is actually one that was built in 1919, and it's quite old. It's got one of the old sort of cloth-covered cords, and I actually have a pretty awesome old, very large electrode, one of my favorites. And I'm not sure if the lights in here are going to allow us to see this. The electricity flowing through this wire, this obviously could shock you if you cut the wire and touch the wires. It's going through this, what's known as a disruptor coil, or the Tesla coil, and it turns that stream, or how do we call it, a fire hose, a fire hose of electricity into a nice little mist of electricity that's suspended in millions of little microparticles of electricity in this vacuum tube environment. So as I turn it on, you can see that there's a purple glow, and if Damon can touch the top there and show, you should be able to see a little arc of plasma between the electrode and yourself. This is what's happening. This electricity is being converted into a form that our bodies will happily assimilate. It allows us to increase our energy.
From an acupuncturist perspective, we would say that this device is affecting the bioelectric field. Each cell of the body has its own electrical frequency, has its own electric field around it. Each organ of our body has its own electric field around it. The heart has its own electric field around it. So it stands to reason that if we can resonate a frequency with this device, we can assist the body in achieving a balanced state, in this case affecting in Chinese medicine we say the qi. But you could just say the energetic field, the bioenergetic field. In India they call it prana. In many traditions in Hawaiian they call it mana. It's all the same thing. Now, it's life force.
Let me ask you this. Now, my experience and understanding of acupuncture is that you're essentially moving the energy that's already in the body and sort of changing the path, regulating, adjusting the direction it's flowing. When you're using the violet ray, is that adding to the level of energy? Is there any known proof or any idea that this is actually raising our energy levels versus just using the energy we already have?
Well, I'll tell you what I've noticed clinically, and again, I'm using this predominantly for pain conditions. Could be for headaches, lower back problems, sciatica conditions, a number of different orthopedic pain conditions. When I use this in comparison to using traditional acupuncture needles, I get much greater results with this, much faster results. And so I'm using this really in place of the needles. I still use the traditional acupuncture needles that most acupuncturists use. However, with the violet ray, it's infusing electricity from an outside source at a high frequency rate, and the body absorbs that, and it's beyond the point of the muscular and the central nervous system detecting it, so it's not painful.
Right.
It's not a painful reaction. Guess what? Acupuncture can be painful. People ask me, does it hurt to get acupuncture? I say sometimes it does.
Sure.
But you know what? Sometimes they need they need it, and so if you're adept at it, then it should be fine. This, I think, is more pleasing. And so thank you for introducing this to me.
My pleasure.
I personally got results from yourself when you administered it to me when I had an episode of sciatica in my left leg, and I found great results. And then I said to you, where can I get this? And of course, you'd be surprised the different websites that sell these devices, because this is not a medical device.
And just to be clear, the way most of these devices are sold in America is either A, you're a licensed esthetician, someone who does facials, and you buy a high frequency setup, a multi, got the steamer and all that good stuff, or the way that they've apparently gotten around the system here to be able to sell these on the mass market is to use them as a sex toy or as a
Experimental.
experimental sexual tool.
Yeah. So what I would say is, out of all the different medical devices that I became aware of as a practitioner in traditional Chinese medicine, in holistic health, this is one that has been literally, I want to say, hidden. This is a hidden technology. People don't know about this, but you can use this.
Hidden in plain sight, I might add. Hidden in plain sight.
Yeah, and people can actually buy this device and administer it with themselves without having really any training.
Right.
If with someone that has training like myself and knowledge of the meridian system and the different acupuncture points, certainly it's a little bit more sophisticated. I can administer it in a way that a layperson would not be able to. But this can be used originally what it was intended for, which is a home health aid, okay, for a number of conditions.
Sure.
Right, so some of the conditions that they listed in the book:
hair loss,
sciatica, skin conditions. I mean,
any
the
kind
list,
of pain condition.
The list goes on and on and on. But again, what I use it for is predominantly for pain, for regulating or moving energy in the system, infusing it with energy as well.
And to just make one point, the way I was originally introduced to this, I mean, I did become educated about this through my order, but originally I was introduced to this through a massage therapist I began to see, who used to be one of the instructors at the massage school I attended. And she was 64 years old when I first started working with her, and I was just surprised. She'd been giving massage for over 25 years and still working strong at the age of 64. And I asked, especially knowing that massage therapists have a pretty short lifespan in terms of being able to, have strength in their hands and not have pain issues. And she showed me that she was using a much older version of the Jade Academy Violet Ray, or it was called the Derma Ray, and she used it as a electrically assisted massage tool. So the benefit of it is that any kind of calcification, which is what most of our pain is calcification and crystallization in between the fibers of the muscles and in the joints. And this violet ray actually seems to liquefy it. I mean, for lack of a better term, seems to create momentum, movement in spaces that are dried up or crystallized and causing pain. So you rub it over your little bit and rub it out, and all of a sudden that pain spot you had was potentially gone. So it's a great tool to experiment with.
This is actually, this is another glass bulb that I use occasionally.
Saturator.
And this is interesting because with this bulb, the application is you would simply hold it, and it essentially charges the body the way you would charging your cell phone. Right? This infuses the electricity in this high frequency state that sends a current through the entire body, and so this can be very good for people that have chronic fatigue situations where they're tired all the time.
So if you got 9 minutes, essentially, all your blood travels throughout your entire body once every 9 minutes. So hold that for 9 minutes, and you have basically energized every little cell of blood you've got coursing through your veins.
Right. And so, you'd think that more people would know about this device, and there are certainly other devices like Rife technology on the market as well.
Sure.
But, I always say, do you want to take the red or the purple pill? There are things that are not known that are very helpful for us. That can help in many conditions. Maybe in a future episode you'll talk about Rife technology.
Absolutely. I know you've got your new equipment coming, so we definitely want to have you on for
So
that.
speaking of Rife, this is a device that I would like to share with our viewers.
Sure.
And this is called the Pointer XL. And what this device is essentially using electricity. It's electric acupuncture, painless for the most part, and also punctureless. So it's not penetrating the
Like
skin.
the violet ray, just
like
using
the violet
a little
ray.
electricity.
Okay, and the person would actually hold on to the wand, okay, which creates an electric current, and you would turn it on, and you would stimulate the different acupuncture points using electric frequency. It's not violet ray, so it's not a high frequency, so it's operating at a lower rate, so you would actually feel the vibration within it, similar to a TENS unit.
Okay.
Okay. And it's quite a handy device. You can actually, it says
Well, this one has both, if I'm not mistaken.
Right.
It has both the TENS and it has the microcurrent.
It has the
built in.
microcurrent, and one other thing that I'd like to mention before I go into mentioning the microcurrent is that what the device is also able to do is detect the low voltage rate, which is what the acupuncture points resonate with.
drop,
is
right.
at a lower voltage rate. So what it does is it finds the point. You could find it on the ear, which is the microsystem that I use, or on the actual points itself using the model. Okay, the different acupuncture points, meridian channels, energy channels, so to speak. You would find it and then stimulate it. In addition, the microcurrent is another mode, and in researching that and reading about the microcurrent, from what I gathered from it, what a microcurrent is essentially the communication of the cell.
Well, it's the body's underlying communication system.
So by stimulating with a microcurrent, you're essentially allowing the body to communicate more efficiently. So if that happens, just about everything can get better and everything can operate much more smoothly. Homeostasis, which is the balance of the body, can be assured. In Chinese medicine, we say it's the yin and the yang. It's the middle path. It's the balance between those two. So these are different technologies using the Pointer XL, using the violet ray, using Rife technology as well, which we'll talk about, I guess, in another episode. This is taking acupuncture, taking my understanding of acupuncture to a quantum level.
Love it.
And it's doing it, I believe, more effectively and in an innovative way. And thank you for introducing this to me.
My pleasure, brother. Thanks for coming.
Thank you.
Thank you all for being here. Look forward to seeing you in a future episode of WellBodyPro.
Thank you.